Hello and welcome to another one. I'm your host Dre. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So I'm gonna try to make this one quick. Um, the internet's been blowing up the last few days over Johnathan Owens and his wife Simone Biles Owens. Um, over I don't even think it was 10 minutes. Um, in a podcast that he had with the Pivot, where they were interviewing him. And a lot of people's insecurities are showing. And the stuff I've heard is just downright disgusting in terms of the online discourse um, over the last few days with this. And it's one that I personally um, felt the need to weigh in on, just simply for this. Um, this conversation's being had all wrong, first and foremost. So let's start there. In terms of the young couple, if by some miracle you all come across this channel and this video in particular of mine, just know this. All the people who are talking and saying all these negative things, like they're haters, they don't matter. And tone them out, block them out. Like, if y'all two are happy, y'all look like y'all have each other's back, and you're really young. Y'all have so much life ahead of y'all to grow, to build, to learn each other, to push each other. Enjoy it. Life is a journey, and marriage is a beautiful thing, and you two are in a very, very blessed position. The one piece of advice I would give you all, and it's nothing like what you've probably heard. I would just simply say this: make sure that you're giving your relationship the proper maintenance, and a part of that is making sure that God forbid there's ever a day where there's serious strife that comes about. You want to make sure that you have the communication and the mechanisms in place to be able to work those things out. So, for example, um, it sounds crazy, but it's all the more important now. Like finding somebody who could be like a marriage counselor or some type of mediator between you is more important now than ever because of the fact that, should something truly devastating happen, or should y'all just, get into a point where, say, one or both of you in your feelings and it's like, nah. You don't want to have a situation where even selecting a mediator or somebody, to go to for help is in and of itself another issue to be worked through. Um, that's my one thing that I would say, and make sure that pursue your pursuits, but also make sure that you are, always allowing that space for each other. And my biggest thing would just simply be this: like, never stop loving each other. Um, Love is not just an emotion. Love is an action. Love is a covenant. Honestly, if you look at it from a biblical perspective, it's a covenant on how we agree or strive to treat our significant other. But that's what I got to say for y'all. Be blessed. I pray you to strive, grow, and prosper. Now, first up for my smoke session, this little fuck ass Tony Gaskins. He is by far the worst who I've heard with the online discourse. You know what? I gotta take that last part back. He's not the worst. People have actually been worse in their takes to him, but he said some very egregious things. The fact that another black man would try to paint this guy as abusive when there's no history of such, insecure when there's no history of such. All because he told the story of how they met, and he told it honestly and faithfully to his recollection. And you said that was leaving her uncovered. That was not anything that was damaging to her. The fact of the matter is, you and the crowd that you pander to, y'all are so thin-skinned. And I hold you to a different account because you're the ringleader. It's one thing for a person to be deceived. It's another thing for the deceiver to do the deceiving. People like you is what I view as the problem with the church, because you always want to go and talk about what you feel, and you want to talk about it as fact, and you want to speak in a way as if you come from this knowledgeable standpoint when you don't. You talking from emotions and you pulling shit out your ass. And that is doing so much damage. That story that he had, and even like their little back and forth where they like Simone corrected him on one detail or whatnot. Like, yo, that's common. That is common. And to not tell the truth creates a situation, it creates an environment where it's just fucking fairy dust and fairy tales. Like, yo, that hurts. That hurts the community because it sets unrealistic expectations, which at the end of the day, it harms the women who are seeking out relationship, who are seeking to have some semblance of what she has. And then also it creates a very bad environment for the men as well, because like, yo, now I got to deal with somebody who is detached from reality, who has these unrealistic expectations, who thinks me saying my truth is wrong and abusive. And going and strolling through your fucking comment section, bruh, the misandry that's dripping off of everybody. And I've listened to your content and I've seen how you've dealt with other people. In particular, how you bitched up when you dealt with that other guy. I believe his name's Ace Metaphor. Guy sitting there telling you to his face what he does on this platform. And you're gonna use that book to try to insult that man and call him the devil. And when confronted about it, you bitch up. But as soon as he dropped down off the panel, you will insinuate the same thing again. No, say that motherfucker to his face. I'd have respect for you if you kept that same energy. But you don't. You change it up. And that means that you know exactly what you're doing. You pandering and you playing to an audience. And that shit is hurtful to the black community as a whole. In one sense, I would expect it from some of certain spaces of the internet and certain female pontificators. But to come from a black man, to characterize this man she looks compatibility. They not looks compatible. What? What the fuck are you talking about? Bring it back. That was the most shallow, the most vain, and then to end it basically with saying, yo, if that was my sister, I'd tell her to go ahead and get her divorced. No, you know what? If you really truly believe what that brother said was wrong, you would come to him with the rod of correction, not trying to further play to a freaking base and be a panda bear. You would have said, hey, brother, this is how you deal with that. Not, hey, let me break up a whole family. Because that's what our role is as older men. Whether we have it all together or whether we've made mistakes, Our job is to share what we have for the younger generation so that hopefully, if we've made certain pitfalls, they can avoid them. And if we went right in certain ways, hey, look, I ain't saying this the only way, but this is a way. And I found that to be so very disappointing. But at the end of the day, I'm not surprised. But I am so very disgusted. And to the rest of the people who've been online and saying all types of hateful and vitriolic things, your insecurities are showing. That's what this all boils down to. This ain't about Simone. This ain't about Johnathan. This is about y'all. This is about the fact that you can't have the life that you want. This is about the fact that, frankly, you keep that dog's bowl filled with all the Purina he wants. He clawing at the door to get away from you. This is about the fact that you have personal insecurities and are frustrated because you listen to people who set unrealistic expectations. You are bought into a world and a dynamic that does not truly exist. And frankly, you can't find that Mark Buster that'll sign up for what you selling. That's really what it is at the end of the day. All of you big back bitter Bettys that are in the comments, that are making videos, that are rallying for divorce and bullying this young woman as well, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. How the fuck we get here as a society? Once again, if you truly felt that somebody young was going astray, why would you tell them to quit? Why would you advocate for them to quit? Instead of saying, hey, young man, hey, young woman, here is how you could approach this a different way. Here is how you maybe could have been a little more tactful about this, that, and the third. And let's address the other thing too, because everybody is all trying to make Simone, and this is no way trying to shit on Simone. Everybody's trying to make her like she's this Jordan level superstar. Even Tony, you know who that is. You turn on ESPN. No, you don't see no Simone Biles on ESPN every day. Like, get out of here, bro. And if you had listened to the interview, you would have known. Dude is in training camp. What normally happens in football when you're getting ready for the season and you're in camp? You're having multiple practices. In my high school, we had 3 days. I know in college it's similar. There's some programs that might have 3 days, 4 days. I've heard even some JUCOs with some programs. Some of my friends have said, like, yo, there were a couple days where they had basically like, yo, they had the field house all day. They get up at 5. They don't head back to their room till like 9 or 10 o'clock that night. So yeah, not only that, but you'd have to be interested in gymnastics. And if you paid attention to what brother said, like, yo, he said young girls were coming up to them on their first date and asking to take pictures. I wonder why it was young girls. Who's really interested in gymnastics? Young girls. So this is no way shitting on Simone, because she is a star in her own right. She's successful in her own right. And I am not ever going to take that away from that woman. But stop pontificating and acting as if Simone Biles is Michael goddamn Jordan from the 90s. She is not that. Okay? It's not inconceivable that somebody might not know who she is. It's not. Especially in today's media landscape. Let me break this down from a standpoint where there's actually a bit of research here, because my undergrad degree is in marketing. So I'm about to speak for something from a point of knowledge and not feelings, Tony. And the rest of you people who just pontificate and pull shit out of your ass all day. The reason why a lot of movements and even a lot of megastars the late 90s and even going into somewhat of the early 2000s were able to become as big as they were is because of the way television was set up. That model in which you had a set number of channels, set number of cable, uh, basically carriers to deliver it to you, more or less everybody was locked into the same things. What has happened is there's been a decentralization, and now, frankly, everybody has a chance to really watch and lock in on what they want. So, with the proliferation of cord cutting and these various apps, and especially apps that cater to more and more niche subjects, like, yo, that 10 million viewers from a Nielsen rating standpoint doesn't come with the ubiquity that it did even 20 years ago, because it's not that spillover effect in which people are talking about, certain things and it's bleeding into the natural pop culture. Everything is more siloed today. So, good example is LeBron James. Yeah, Mike, even though Mike got higher ratings and everything back in his day, LeBron would struggle to be as big of a star as Mike was, just simply for those very same reasons that, you know, people have more options to not watch him. And when people talk, as a result, they're in a particular silo, and not a lot of discourse goes outside of those silos. And that's just the reality of the day. And that's in no way shitting on her. It's being honest, it's being real. And if you think about it, her dynamic is one in which I think a lot of women could learn from, because she shot her shot, she made herself available, and she made it known that she was interested. She was not pursuing this guy. In fact, like, yo, like, quote unquote, I guess you would say, for lack of a better term, she was not pursuing this guy like in the way of being the man. She was aggressive from a feminine standpoint, and that, hey, I'm interested in you. Do you want to hang out? And that dog hunted, and they're together now. That's a story that a lot of people can relate to. That's a story that a lot of my young cousins that are married, that's not too dissimilar from theirs. Hell, even my own. When my ex-wife and I uh, first got together, like, yo, was not checking for her. Thought she was the meanest thing ever. But hey, we ended up getting married. So this is something that's very real. It's something that happens. And there's nothing wrong with telling the story, how the story happened. Imagine being a historian, but not being able to tell certain events because it would hurt people's feelings if you were accurate with it. Just imagine that for a second. But I digress. I am going to simply leave with this. I think we have a serious issue in Black America, which we really need to examine. And this is really troubling. Excuse me. To have and see an online discourse in which people, out of their own pettiness and vitriol, are calling for a young couple to be broken up, are bullying a young woman who's married because her significant other, her man, her husband, thinks that he's a catch. Ponder this for a second. Do you think that if they were to have kept going down that relationship questioning, that if they simply stopped and said, hey, you know what? How do you view your wife? How do you feel about your wife? Do you think he's really going to say, like, yo, I think Simone ain't shit? Or do you think there's going to be a wellspring of accolades and admiration coming from that man. Because just from how, at least from what I observe of them, they look like they adore each other. And he values his wife. That much I can tell from his body language. That much I can tell from how their dynamic is when they're together, how they support one another. So yeah, the fact of the matter is, those people who are spewing that bullshit, like, yo, put the dog outside, put the kids to bed, put your phone on silent, go in the bathroom, cut the lights on extra bright, and look in the fucking mirror. Because there's something deeply wrong with you. It could be a number of things, and that's for a whole nother video, and there's people who can dissect it and break it down a whole lot better than me. But there's something deeply broken deep within if you're that damn miserable that you want a young, loving couple to be miserable too. Thank y'all. Have a good one.